All the arts influence each other. I was seriously into dance for a while. I wanted to be a professional dancer. And I just feel I try to bring all of those influences in. I mean, they're just in me. All of that is very much a part of what comes out when I'm making art.
Hello and welcome. On this season of the podcast, I get to sit down with artists and sponsors involved in the 2024 studio tour put on by Great Falls Studios in Virginia. And this is the annual art festival where visitors have access to creators with an emphasis on learning about and sometimes getting involved in the artist's creative process. The tour takes place this year on Saturday, October 19th and Sunday, October 20th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can find out more on www.greatfallsstudios.com. So that's www.greatfallsstudios.com. Thank you and enjoy the show. For our audience, we're here today with local artists. You know, I haven't really formally been introduced or, said your name really out loud. Guru Sangat Khalsa. Is that correct?
That's as close as you need to be. It's Guru Sangat, but it's impossible to write that correctly in English.
Yes. Yeah, that's fine. I'm a Spanish speaker. So yeah, you get.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. So there's, there's certain things that like my mom's maiden name is Garduño, but you can't phonetically get that across.
Right.
Unless you know. So there you have it. So here we are in your studio.
Yes.
And
I can show it to you if you want.
Yeah, well, we're seeing your big, beautiful pieces of art there. And
this peacock is one of my newest that I finished I finished it last year, but it took a long time.
Sure. Yeah. So you paint large scale in oil or acrylic?
That one is a collage underneath and then acrylic on top.
Okay. So you're, how do you classify yourself?
I don't.
Okay.
Because I do a lot with collage and painting on top, and then I do weavings and paint on top, and then I just do straight, like this is a straight oil painting.
Okay.
And straight acrylic. So I bounce around a lot. I've done some printmaking and a little sculpture, getting back into sculpture. And like this one here, that is a sheepskin that got ruined in a truck drove over it at an airport. It was wrapped up over a piano that was in a box that got run over by a truck at the airport. So my husband meditated on this sheepskin for years, so I painted his portrait. And then I stretched it sort of a Native American style. And sorry.
That's okay.
The back I painted also, this is like the world, and this is our mantras we use a lot, Satnam and Waheguru, and this means one creed. Yeah. So, just all the cosmic stuff about our meditative side. So sometimes, I'll paint on something that's not a canvas.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I like a challenge.
Sure.
That's a regular paint on,
Yeah. So you do
still life.
You do still lives, you do portraits, you do spiritual kind of expressions.
And these over here are just abstract. So these are meditative pieces I did. These are in acrylic.
Okay.
And they're just, just taking a simple idea and just working with color. These were from COVID, taking a complicated idea, which was we have all this stuff going on in our minds, which is all this flurry behind, which is acrylic. And then on top, all these shapes are oil, which is sort of the way we present ourselves while all this stuff's going on behind. And then I do some photography. These are some photographs. And this is a print. This is a monotype. Very hard to see with a glare, but
there's a little bit of, but
but it has
a general,
Yeah. And then that has a little pastel on top.
Yeah.
Which I learned. And then this peacock, you'll see that underneath there, especially here, you can see the sticker.
Yes.
And then I started making a pattern.
It's a very cute peacock, isn't it?
Isn't he awesome?
He really is. He's got a really wonderful character about him.
A personality.
Yeah.
I call it strut. Well, he's strutting.
That's pretty accurate.
And then these are just from simple idea of taking just a ruler.
Yeah.
And making a pattern.
Yep.
And then painting in the lines. Just having fun with that.
Yeah.
And then this is another one with collage underneath.
Yep.
So, that's just sort of a... Oh, and then here's one with the painting on top of here's a weaving with a painting on top.
Oh, wow.
So underneath that is all
a
weaving, which I can show you the back.
Yeah. I
put this cloth here so the light would shine through, but that's just a simple weaving. I'll weave it alone. Ha! That was my last.
Oh, you're good at tickling the funny bone there. That's good.
Yeah, very corny.
It's my kind of humor.
Good. This is a landscape I'm doing on paper with. So if you treat paper with matte medium, then you can paint oils on top. So that's oil on paper.
Yeah.
So that's a basic rundown.
Yeah. How long have you been an artist?
Pretty much all my life, with a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
When I went to college, I majored in art, then I majored in dance, theater, and music. Like one after the other, and I didn't even finish college back then. But then we had a band, and we were hippies, and then we got into the spiritual path. There was a little art during that. Then I had children, not much art. And working. Then I decided I had to make money as an artist, so I went to Nova and got a degree in, what do you call it? Not commercial. They didn't call it commercial art anymore, but basically that was what it was.
Yeah.
Did that for a while. Then I ended up working in a job I hated and got sick. And when I started feeling a little better, I said, that's it. I'm doing just fine, which was what I love. And then I went back and just did painting at Nova. And then I went to the Corcoran and got a degree, finally got my degree in 2001.
Wow. Congrats.
Thank you. It was a great experience. Loved the Corcoran. I'm really mad that it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was an amazing experience. Loved it.
Wow.
I've been painting ever since then. I mean, making art.
So it sounds like, are you from this area originally?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I grew up here, but moved around once I became an adult.
Yeah. There's so many questions coming up into my mind. There was dance, theater. I'm trying to place all this. When was the spiritual, let's say, awakening?
That was when I was 22. My husband and I we were just living together out in the hills of West Virginia.
Yeah.
With our rock band. And we decided that we had moved from Boston to there because we thought if we moved to, back to the nature thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we wouldn't be neurotic anymore.
Right.
And we got there and realized we're just as neurotic as we were in Boston. So we actually had our little talk and decided the most important thing to us was our soul.
Yeah.
So we decided to find a spiritual path. And that was, 1972, which is when a lot of people were getting into yoga, meditation, all those things. So we looked for a spiritual path, and we were totally led to this particular one with Kundalini yoga. Got into the yoga.
Yeah.
Loved it. It totally helped.
Yeah.
We're still neurotic, but not nearly as much as we would be if we didn't do the yoga.
Or less self-conscious about it, and maybe in good company anyway. So
yes, and more accepting of everything.
Sure.
Just able to go with the flow much better. And then our teacher was a Sikh which is why I'm wearing a turban and
Right.
things like that. So it became as well, which is also, we liked it very much because, well, both things gave us an experience. That was what we were looking for, the experience. That could replace the one you had when you got high with drugs.
Right. Right.
So it's been great. We're very grateful for it.
Wow.
So I try to bring that into my art as well as just whatever's going on right at the moment, and
Wow. Can you just tell us a little bit about the rock band, or as much as you want to talk about as a rock band? Because that's pretty cool. Yeah.
When we went to Antioch College out in Yellow Springs, Ohio, which was a very progressive college. You could basically do what you wanted and get credit for it. So we had a band there. My husband plays really good piano. He's very modest about it, but he was awesome. Yeah. And this friend of ours, Richard Feldman, and we made this band, and we named the name. I didn't name it, but it was called Ed Chicken and the French Fries. As one lady actually wrote a book, and she mentioned us and called it a no talent band. But it wasn't that bad.
No.
It wasn't very good. But we had fun. We did that. Then we went and joined this band, Asleep at the Wheel, which started back in 1973, maybe 70, or 71. And they were that's out in West Virginia. So we were with them for a while. And the man who founded it, Ray Benson, still has the band.
Wow.
They had their 50th anniversary during COVID. So I guess it was 1970.
Yeah.
We did that for a while. Then my husband got tired of playing the same chords over and over.
Right.
We went back to Ed Chicken and the French Fries and regrouped in West Virginia. And we played there a lot.
Yeah.
And we were planning this, great plan. We're going to just stay at this house didn't have any electricity, but we had a generator for the band.
Right.
And we were just going to practice till we were really good, and then we'd go out and perform.
Yeah.
The first night we were there, these men showed up in their pickup truck with a case of beer and said they weren't leaving till we agreed to go the next night, play at the Birch River Grill, and we couldn't get rid of them until we agreed.
Okay.
That was the beginning of the end.
Of Ed Chicken and the French Fries.
I mean, we lasted for a while until it got too cold and everybody went home.
Gotcha.
But, we did play a lot in West Virginia, and we've all kinds of music, a lot of
Bob Dylan,
rhythm and blues, all kinds of strange music.
And what did you do? Did you sing?
I was a singer, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I could have been better, but I wasn't.
Did you have, where does this come from? Is it in your family, or was this you just?
Oh, I always sang. I mean, my brother, had an older brother, 5 years older, and he had all the best music. He had James Brown and Ray Charles and all these great Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, all the really good blues musicians.
Uh-huh.
And I was very influenced by him. And then rock and roll was great back then.
Yeah.
60s, 50s, late 50s.
Yeah.
So I was always singing. And then I was in the choir, and I just was really into singing. And
it was a great time.
Really was.
It was a magical time.
We had an amazing teacher at Potomac School whose name was John Langstaff. He was phenomenal. And he went up to each of us who was really into singing and said, "Would you like to learn an instrument?" And so I learned the viola because I'd never heard of it. I thought, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And did that for quite a while. Actually, I was playing it with my husband. We'd improvise and things, and then someone stole it in West Virginia, and that was the end.
Darn.
Darn.
So did you meet your husband in college or?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
We met in college. Yeah.
Wow. What a great story. I love talking about, all influences. So I kept on saying, I need to get a musician on here, talk to a musician. Here we are. So
well, music, I feel all the arts influence each other. I was seriously into dance for a while. I wanted to be a professional dancer. And I just feel I try to bring all of those influences in. They're just in me, so they're going to be in the art. So the idea of rhythm, movement, all of that is very much a part of what comes out when I'm making art.
And what kind of dance were you interested in?
Well, I did modern mostly.
Modern,
I did ballet as a child. Everybody took ballet back then.
Yeah. So
I got into modern and then more interpretive.
Yeah. So I was just curious if there was like a lot of structure in your artistic upbringing. There was at some, and then you branched out, really. So
I was very lucky because at Potomac School back then, we had dance class, we had singing class. You could take a musical instrument. There was painting, art class. All of that was included. Sports, everything was part of the curriculum, which I'm very sad to see isn't the case anymore in public schools.
Right.
Because it made, it's huge. It really made school fun.
I think so, and I just think about, people who, I was thinking about it today, thinking, people who are willing to take risks and have like a certain confidence and adventurous spirit, when you have the opportunity to like, art is so personal and it's so physical and it gives you something, I think.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Even if the painting isn't going well, I feel good after putting in the time.
Right.
It's a meditative process. So it's, okay, one of my favorite quotes is from Philip Guston, who's one of the artists I would invite to dinner.
Yes.
And he said, when you're painting, when you're making art, it's like everybody is in the studio with you, and they're all there. And if you're lucky, one by one, they leave. Because it's all that thought of what would so-and-so think, or what do they think?
Yeah.
What would people think about this? Maybe I shouldn't do this. All these doubts are constantly going through my mind. And then he said, so he's lucky if one by one they all leave. And then if you're really lucky, you leave.
Yeah.
So and that's when the art really happens. Because you let that, it is a channeling, just like with music. And dance, people who choreograph, and people who write.
Yeah.
You're always talking about how the character tells them what to do. I feel that with painting, I start off with an idea, and then it completely changes through the process. Because each time you put something down, then it suggests something else, and then you have to go back, and it's back and forth constantly.
It is a back and forth. Yeah, I remember I was painting my parents' my dog and my parents' dog, and I was doing it in a new style where it was like I connected, like, I maybe say started with the eye and then moved to the hair and then to the other eye. And so I wasn't doing like a full kind of drawing outline first and then filling in. I was going from element to element, and it really came out really different. And it was really interesting. Like that was like a journey there. But the funny thing was my parents' dog in the picture had, a smile on his face because it's one of those dogs that could smile somehow. But this one really, he was really like laughing, and I thought, no, he's not smiling that much. It's not really true. But every time I went back to it, I couldn't change it. And I just thought, okay, fine. He really wants to smile. I'm going to leave him alone. and so I got out of the way. Just kind of let it be what it was supposed to be, and now I find it funny when I look at it. So,
that's awesome.
Well, since you started talking about artists who you'd like to have dinner with, who are the other? Let's go into that.
So many, but, definitely Philip Guston, because he totally radically changed in the middle of his career. He was doing great as an what do they call it? Expressionistic impressionism, or something like that. Impressive. Mm-hmm. Anyway, beautifully, everybody thought gorgeous. And then he started painting these cartoon-like paintings of the Ku Klux Klan and Nixon and all these bizarre things. I love them. They're absolutely fabulous. And it was like he had to do something else. Right. His first show, his friends came in and said, "Oh God, you just committed suicide. Nobody's going to want this stuff." He could, but he had to do it. So he's one. Agnes Martin, because she is an amazing mind. I mean, she's not around now, but and her paintings are sublime. I mean, they take you to another level. The experience of looking at them, I think she's phenomenal. Frida Kahlo, of course. She's just such a fascinating person and so much heart.
Yeah.
Sonia Deloney, because she was a real, vanguard. She was in the vanguard of change. Matisse, because he was phenomenal.
Yes.
And Picasso, because he was phenomenal. When I first got back into painting seriously, I would tell myself, just pretend you're Picasso. Because you have to have that drive, and at least pretend I'm confident of what I'm doing and go for it. That was Joan Mitchell, because she's an amazing abstract painter. Philip Whistler. I think Whistler is amazing. He's one of my favorites, and he's not talked about a lot, but at his time, he was the most recognized American painter. And I think his paintings are amazing. They had a fantastic show we went to see at the Freer. And some of the paintings, you can hardly see what's even going on. It's so mysterious. I think he's amazing. Elizabeth Murray. Are you familiar with her? She was one of the first people to do shaped canvases, and hers are also very cartoonish, but they're more abstract. But you can pick out what things are. There are things in there, but they're abstracted. Like she'll have a cup of coffee, but it'll be all kind of wonky and wonderful colors, lots of expression. And at first you see them, you think, oh, these are so much fun. And then you realize, pretty serious subject.
Sure.
She's very deep. Mark Rothko, of course, because he's just amazing. Andy Warhol, I've always been a fan because he was when his art came out, I would go down and when I became familiar with it, I just go down the grocery aisle and see everything is art. Campbell soup cans lined up. It's like, yeah, this is art.
He did change everything like that, didn't he? Yeah.
I think he's amazing. A lot of these people aren't the nicest people, but that's not what I'm after right now.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah. I'd love to hear them all talk to each other. I'm not sure how much I could add, but I could ask questions.
Sure.
Ellsworth Kelly, because he was, again, amazing.
Yeah.
Radical. Let's see. Gustav Klimt. I think he just makes such beautiful art. And Alice Neal. I love her art. She does these wonderful portraits with they're a little wonky but they're very full of soul.
Yeah.
And she also has an amazing life story, but I just thought she was amazing. Yeah. And Francis Bacon, he was a phenomenal artist and he wrote amazing books.
Yeah.
I think he was brilliant.
Yeah.
And
interesting picks.
Yeah. And then I have a nephew who's an up-and-coming artist in New York, Jonah Freeman, and he does amazing things in some big, huge installations. And he's always got a very unique look on life and art and everything.
Well, we'll include his info in there too, because usually I add your Instagram or whatever kind of social media or website that you have, and we'll be sure to add Jonah's info in there too. So
that'd be great. Yeah, he shows all over the world, and he also curates all over the world. He's amazing.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah. So those are just the ones I remember. I'm sure after we're done, I'll be like, why didn't I say so and so? And
that's okay. We can always modify.
And Kathy Wilkin.
She's my
teacher at Nova.
Yep.
And she does amazing art. She's at Tag Gallery in Frederick, Maryland.
Okay.
And she's a phenomenal artist. Yeah.
So when you came back to painting, how much did your style change, would you say? Like, what were you doing kind of? Did it change, or are you continuing on? Or
it's just evolving. Like at first I was doing a lot of landscapes. I loved doing landscapes. I would take my son to his soccer games. He never wanted me to be there because he couldn't stand all the parents yelling. So I'd go off in a field and paint, and he'd come find me at the end of the game. And I just did landscapes like mad, and I just loved it. I thought that's all I would do forever.
Yeah.
I've done only a couple in the last 10 years. And then, yes, it definitely evolved, from just drawing, life drawing and but everything interests me in a way that's a blessing and in a way it's a problem because, but I don't let it bother me. I feel like when you're making art, or for me, when I'm making art, I just let myself be. I mean, I have enough self-judgment to last me more lifetimes. So I'm not going to do it in art. I'm just going to enjoy what I like to do and go for it. I remember taking a printmaking class just fairly recently, thinking, oh, I'm going to do this because it's fast and easy. No, it wasn't fast and easy, but it was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing I make is fast and easy. It's always a struggle, but it's good. It's interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. And they're meaningful, right?
Yes.
So
they all have meaning. There's always a story behind every single one.
Right.
The sticker stuff started with my husband. I would take I got really mad when they started putting stickers on produce. It just seemed so stupid to me and wasteful and awful. Yep. So I just would put the stickers on the counter while I was cooking, and then I'd throw them all away. And he came in one day and said, "This is gross, these stickers on the counter." So I started putting them on boards, and then I started just painting on. First, I just did them straight, pictures of stickers and knitting and all this stuff we get. And to me, it's like, so it's sort of my relationship again with Andy Warhol, and oh, that's the other person, Marcel Duchamp.
Oh, there. Okay.
Because he and I share his birthday, and he totally got me because of the whole ready-mades, the way he could, just like Andy Warhol, he could see the art in the ordinary.
Yeah.
And so that he's definitely been a huge influence. So that was one reason I thought, okay, I'll make something out of this or something out of this. I haven't gone to the extreme he did of just taking a toilet and putting it.
Right.
There's your art. But he's definitely a huge influence. So anyway, so when I was at the Corcoran, I took ceramics every single quarter, every single semester, because it's so satisfying and so wonderful. But you have to, at a certain point, make a choice, because ceramics is a full-time commitment to me. And I much prefer playing with color and
creating an image.
Yeah, creating an image, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I don't even remember what you just asked me.
No, it was how you evolved over time. And, I was going to get to like Corcoran, how Corcoran influenced you.
Oh, huge.
And
Corcoran was amazing. The teachers there were great.
Yeah.
And they were all different. You'd have a core class each year, and you'd have particular teachers who are full-time, and so Steve Kushner was one of my teachers, and he just had a show in town at the Hemphill. He was just great. He'd come into class, he'd say, "How are you doing? Doing great, right? Doing great, doing great." I mean, he was so positive.
Yeah.
Just feel this energy to create,
Yeah.
And he taught me, if you think about making a mark of a certain kind, just do it. You can always take it off. That was a big thing that they taught at the Corcoran. A lot of painting is removing, not just adding. Subtracting is a big part of it. And that's
right.
And the fluidity of it, you just make it and then you can change it and then,
Yeah.
No, that and then getting some art history was great. And
why did they close, by the way? I mean, you may not know why, but bad management. That's too bad.
They could have stayed open if they had better management, because they had things they could have sold. They ran out of money, basically.
Yeah.
They had a huge collection, and they could have gotten better management and made it. But they had some stupid shows, sometimes. But they also showed people nobody else showed, so it was very nice.
Yeah, no, it's important, I think.
It was a Washington, D.C. tragedy.
Yeah.
People are still mad.
Yeah, because I don't know what's replaced it or what's there, right?
Well, it got swallowed up by George Washington University, and then the collection was divided up among different museums. So things are all over the place. But
yeah. Well, there you go.
It's hard to be. The Corcoran had a problem in that you had to pay admission, and then everybody could just go to the Smithsonian and not pay. So it was hard to keep it going that way. But they couldn't have free admission,
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, they tried, but they did not have good management.
Oh, well.
Unfortunately.
How do you go about, in terms of your creative process when you're going to start, a new piece? How would you describe that?
Well, sometimes it comes from like a dream.
Yeah.
I have one piece that I call Healing Light. I had a dream that I've had this chronic fatigue thing for since 1992. Okay. And I had a dream that my spiritual teacher, I was like all bundled up and he surrounded me in a healing light. And so when I woke up, I was like, I have to paint that.
Yeah.
And that can happen. Other times, like with the collages and with the weavings, I'll just, start with the base and then I'll start working on especially with the collages, I'll start just painting around the patterns I've made on the piece, and then something will evolve out of that.
Okay.
But as I said before, a lot of times it's like I'll have an idea, I'm going to do this, and then when I start, it all changes.
Yeah.
Some of them, like this symbol I show you, this up on the top there, that icon we call it.
Uh-huh.
I did a big painting of that because I wanted to just do that.
Yeah.
Because that's a major part of the sequence of life is the belief that there's one creative energy that's in everything. It's very scientific. I mean, it's the same as the atom is, we all share these same elements. And sometimes I just want to do a mandala. Sometimes it's it's something different each time. But, like this guy over here, we were in India, and down at the very tip, there's a little place called Trivandrum. And he was on the beach selling sunglasses, and he had this voice. He looked like an insect because he was covered in these shiny sunglasses.
A lot of eyes, yeah.
And his voice sounded like an insect because he was along saying, he'd say, sunglasses, and I just thought, I got to do his painting because he is like the most exciting thing down here. He was such a character. He was like a show.
Right.
So, it depends.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I always think, I used to watch David Letterman and I used to think, when that guy wakes up in the morning, what goes through his brain, when he's going to do the show and how he's going to, like, how much of it is just inspiration? How much is it a mindset that you say, this is who I am, and get back into character mode? Or, I'm always interested in how people do it,
process. So, I'm very into the process. That's my friend who used to teach at the Corcoran said, you're saying I think you're really into process. It's true. I mean, I'm really into how the paint feels and, what the texture's like, or what the, like with the abstracts of just I had a whole one too with the squares. It's just like just enjoying putting the paint down, different colors to each other. Then maybe have a little element of surprise. Yeah. So, I'm not into boring. Although some people might say Agnes Martin is boring or Andy Warhol's boring, but they're not.
No,
they might be repetitive, but they're never boring.
No, I don't think you could be called boring. Have you done any writing?
I do write, and especially when I was at Corcoran, I did a lot of writing, but I frankly don't have the time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I do writing. What am I talking about?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So there's this little TV show on Saturday mornings called, what is it called? It used to be called The Capitol View or something like that, from 7 to 8 on WDCA.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a paid programming. So you have people talking about all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so a Sikh, we have a Sikh sponsor there's lots of Sikhs in Washington area. They wanted someone from our Gurdwara, our temple, to do a presentation about Sikhs. Years ago, I don't even know how long it's been now, at least 5 years, we started doing it because by default, it came to us. My husband and I would work on, and so I'd write these talks. That's where the writing comes in. And then give them, 5 minutes or 6 minutes in as part of this thing. So it's on Saturday mornings, and we went through, we've done a lot. And that's been good. I mean, it's gotten a little easier. I can't say painting's gotten a lot easier, but
but
I
writing
think for Letterman, maybe it never got easy, but I think he got more comfortable with it as he went on.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
No, I find it fascinating, like performance kind of artists and stuff like that. So you ease into it. So I think your range is fascinating, even just looking at what's behind you. It's so cool. And I guess so we'll turn to the studio tour. You have been part of Great Falls Studios for how long?
Since the beginning. Well, it's wonderful. Laura Nichols called me out of the blue one day, and she said, "Oh, I heard you were a potter." And I said, "Well, I'm not really a potter. I think I was still at the Corcoran." I said, "But I do teach yoga." So she said, "Oh, I need yoga." So she started coming to my yoga classes. And then she started this whole Great Falls Yoga Studios thing. And I was right there with her from the beginning. And actually,
I had no idea.
Yeah. And actually, my husband and I and a friend of ours, we played music for a couple of her get-togethers. We came as the band and played for those. So, so we did. I was there on the first
just
tour.
Chicken and French fries at that point?
No, we're more like Tottenham band. But we did play
Gotcha.
Oldies, mostly oldies, but some of our Tottenham music, which we also do on that TV thing. Sometimes my husband will bring his guitar and sing some of our spiritual songs.
Wow.
But so the first tour, was just all of us going to each other's studios. There weren't very many of us. And very nice. We just went around to each other's studios and saw what we were doing. And that was very nice.
So, when this was, so how did you meet, Laura? How did you all meet each other?
Well, Laura, that's how I met Laura. She called me out of the blue about pottery and started coming to yoga. And then she had she had these wonderful weekends in the fall before where she invites all these artists from out of town and artisans, and they stay there. They sell their wares. So she, I took my daughter was living here. She was going to college here, and we went to one, and it was like, I knew there were people like this in Great Falls. I just hadn't met them yet.
Yeah. I mean, was it just, how did Lauren even get your name?
I don't know. She just
called you. Okay.
Called me. She's a marvelous person. Very, very positive. Can do attitude. Yes. So that was, I think, a long time ago. What can I say? I mean, it was still at the Corcoran, actually, because I did participate in one of her art weekends, and I had some of my pieces, it's done at the Corcoran.
Yeah.
That was
very cool.
2000 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's already a long time ago. Isn't it funny?
I can't believe it.
Still feels like yesterday. To me. So.
And some of, we're all getting old, and you're not, but we're getting older.
Oh no, I'm there. I was just talking to a friend of mine today, and I go, "Gosh, you wake up and you just go, what's happening to my body? The changes that you go through as you're getting older. And you go, okay, I've arrived here, so I've earned my place in the world. That's how I feel. So, studio tour, you've been in every year.
Almost. I think I had to miss
almost.
A couple. Yeah. But I did the virtual one during COVID, and
Isn't that amazing? So, what can people expect? I mean, you're quite the personality, so people get to meet you. So that's pretty fun.
I get to meet
and get to see your art. Yeah. So
some of them have come back, year after year because they're just like marvelous people who enjoy being here. Well, I always have paints and paper. Like I save all the cardboard from whatever and things for people to paint on. So my main thing I have to offer is candy, drinks, and painting. And so that's mostly what goes on. And then just talking, and showing them my work and answering questions and talking about art. And I'll have some art books out for people who want to look at that. One of my favorite stories last year was a lady who came who'd never painted. She was like probably in her 40s, 50s. Mm-hmm. So she copied a painting of mine, and she was so proud of herself. It was a beautiful painting. I mean, she did a great job, and she was just so proud. And as she was leaving, she tried to slip me a 50. I was so touched. I said, no.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Very sweet.
Well, I just in the gallery here, I've had, some people come in and say, they've taken time off to raise a family and do all that. And they say, and she says, I really need to get back to myself. I kind of don't know what to do with myself. And they're looking back to getting back to art kind of thing and just need to be in that social space where you're doing something and belonging.
I know I have a friend who's, I know a couple of people are very lonely and almost depressed. I keep telling them, just try art. I don't do it as therapy. I do it more as an addiction.
Yeah. Yes.
I have to make art in order to survive, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just so invaluable. Any kind of artistic expression, writing, singing, or playing a musical instrument, anything.
It's so fun. The whole conversation about feeling neurotic and then having all these interests. And you feel like you're going, God, where am I going with this? I'm so interested in too much. And then talking about just having to do it. You don't have a choice. It's so true. And I just always think, gosh, how can you make a choice? But eventually, and I think it's a lifetime thing. For some people, when you say, oh, I'll have to have made it by this age or forget it.
I have to go. I can't
artist,
not that at all.
It's much different.
I read a really nice quote, and I'm sorry I can't remember the artist, but he said, so as an artist, every day you make art, and then you try to do better the next day, and you try to do better the next day. And that's a pretty good way to spend a life. And I can't agree more.
Right. And that reminds me of another quote that I saw from a musician, and I think he was 87 or in his 90s or something like that. And he was maybe a violinist or something. And they said, why do you keep playing? And he said, well, I hope one day I'll get better. So
that's why I keep playing.
Yeah. So I go, gosh, and even when looking at, I'm a big fan of soccer and Lionel Messi, and his thing is, I just always hope that to get better and better. And I think, I like looking at life that way and just saying there's no, one point and then it all goes downhill from there. No, you just keep on. So that's, but it takes a little while to kind of get that, that you're thinking.
And it just changes. Like I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, diehard fan.
Yeah.
And, he's gone through so many different changes and evolutions. And he's at a point now, sure, his voice sounds old. Well, he's not stopping. He just accepts what is and just keeps doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just marvelous to me,
Yeah. It's a real inspiration. Yeah. No, it's there's
Tony Bennett.
Yes.
He was singing right up till the end.
Right up to the and then collaborating, which I thought was great. I love the collaboration when
Lady Gaga.
and you pass it on.
Yeah, she said he saved her career because she was ready to quit. And then he did a collaboration with her and totally got her back into music. And I mean, she has a fabulous voice.
She does. I haven't heard her recent works, but I think a lot of it was commercial, and I'm waiting to see what's really her. Eventually, what comes out, kind of thing. Maybe it's there already. I don't know. I haven't really been clued in.
I don't know what she's doing now, but I saw her come out. Who was it with? Maybe it was with Dylan. I don't know who it was with. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, singing with another artist. So she's probably dabbling now. She probably doesn't have to work ever again, but.
Right. Yeah.
I always liked her because she was so outrageous, especially her costumes and her videos and stuff.
It was a splash of something that we'd never seen, and the choreography, and yeah.
I wasn't too crazy about the songs. I thought they were boring, but I really loved her performance.
Yeah.
And later when I heard her really singing, I was like, oh my gosh, it's fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think she's done well as an actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm not into Sinatra. Too boozy for me. I'm more of a hippie.
Yeah.
Blues person. I love the blues.
Yeah, my dad, he was a hitchhiker, back in the 70s, and that's how he met my mom. So
really,
so he went down into Mexico and stuff, and he's got that whole journey, which is interesting. But he was he lived, I'm originally from Canada, and he lived near the border with Detroit. And so he would go to the Grandy Ballroom in Detroit in the 60s. And he was just so wowed by Savoy Brown. And he's really into, like British blues, all kinds of, that whole thing. So, I've heard a lot of that stuff growing up too. And so I like the hippie movement, the spirit of it. And it's interesting because I feel like there's a bit of like, I don't know what your opinion would be if it feels like we're reliving that period of time again in the early 70s with kind of similar struggles and similar kind of changes going on in the world. And but maybe not. I don't know.
The thing was for us, one reason people take drugs is because they're not happy and they're suffering. It's not that whip-de-doo, let's just go get high. But then it becomes a habit and becomes whip-de-doo, let's just go get high, and you're not dealing with your problems. And I do feel it gives you arrested development. I feel I wasted a lot of time. But, it's part of what brought me to where I am today. And I'm lucky that I survived. So, but I feel it's a little different now because it's not new. Back then it was kind of new.
Right.
And I also feel that the protests going on about Gaza and Israel are a little off. The information isn't clear and people are saying things without thinking, I think. Now, this is just my opinion. I haven't been reading every word of every article. So, But my brother-in-law was at Columbia in 1968 when they had the SDS movement and all that. It was much more serious and a little more focused. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, the older we get, the more we know we don't know.
Sure. No, I just,
history repeats itself.
Just kind of like with certain social progressive movements, and they had them. There were protests at the time. There was, there were civil issues at the time. There was. I have to look at music. I don't know, now we just stream. So I don't know what's out on the radio. Everything feels commercial on the radio anyway. And I'm not really in touch with kind of undercurrent music or anything like that. So
my granddaughter she's got quite the ear and she knows all the cool bands and she's all on her phone, and sometimes I hear what she's into, and it's quite good.
Yeah.
But I never hear it on the radio.
Right.
I don't know where she gets it. So she probably has a better station or something, or just with her friends.
They have
this whole thing going on that we don't know anything about. How they get in.
Yeah. Yeah, because I grew up, in the 90s, so I kind of knew the whole scene, commercial, indie scene, all that kind of stuff, and then kind of lost touch. So anyway, that's for the young, isn't it? So.
Well, it's nice to know about. My daughter's taken her to some concerts, and they've had a ball, and
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's good. So will you have again, the same for the studio tour, invitations to people to come and sit down and paint? And
yes, cool. Absolutely. And then I'll have videos. I do video also. I'll have videos playing on my computer, lots of photographs up, as well as the art, and the bins. I have all my printmaking stuff. That's mostly what I have to offer. I don't, and I'll be doing demos. That's the other thing.
Okay.
I usually do a demo of how to make art out of home stuff around the house.
Yeah.
So I have I've been enjoying combining man-made materials with natural materials. So I have beeswax that I melt in this very new age pot over here. This one.
Oh, yeah.
And then I use netting that we get from all our lemons and avocados and all those things that come in netting.
Yeah.
The beeswax to attach the netting to something solid. So I want to show you one that I think is finished. Sometimes that's the other thing with artists. We think it's finished, and then
it's not.
Go back and do some more. So this thing here, I was doing it on like rubber balls that you get at the CVS, but then they always collapse. So this is a solid egg shape I got at Michael's. Covered it in netting with the beeswax, and then used Crayola crayons, melting them in a candle.
Yeah.
Crayola's the best because it's pure wax, and then you do stuff with that. So that's one little sculpture from that. That was the first one. So we'll see what happens with that. So I'll do a demo on how to do that. Mm-hmm. That'll be part of it.
I feel like you've got it's so dynamic what you have and what you do. It's like an experimentation laboratory.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, here's a painting about meditation. So there's straight on. That's a particular meditation done in the evening, visualizing blue in your head, white in your heart, and gray from the waist down. So that's kind of a literal interpretation. And and then I'll have Mike Long here with me, and he does fabulous wood sculptures and furniture. Then I do these little dioramas that are just found objects that I put together into something.
Wow.
Let me see. I'm going to turn on the light so you can see that one I told you about the dream.
Yeah.
Oh, and then during COVID, I really got into the cosmos because it helped me to get out of thinking about, that this COVID, is going on in this world, but, we're part of a huge universe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this came sort of out of it. This is called Out There.
That's cool.
And I did this. I just grew tons of zinnias on the porch and did a still life, just enjoying the beauty of flowers.
Yeah.
And this one is the one from the dream.
Yeah.
The healing light. And this is a sculpture I did while I was at Corcoran. I took welding, which I would do now if it weren't so much
mess.
And then this, I was collecting the packaging, and it doesn't weigh anything, but it looks like it's heavy, and that's called Monument as a joke. So, there's a lot of repurposing of stuff.
I just feel like you just have fun every day being you.
If I could just be in the studio every day. This is one I did a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was very interesting because I found this wonderful wooden crate that I think was used to hold certain kinds of bottles. And these measuring things, which you get with your laundry soap, fit perfectly inside. And that just fascinated me, that these two very different things work together so well. This is amazing.
I think your mind is constantly like connecting things.
Yes, it's true. This one I did ages ago, and there was no fish. And then I was like, I think I'm going to put a fish on it. It's much better with the fish. Anyway, that's a little tour. Yeah, this is the early one. I think that was just stickers. Now, and people keep saying, "Oh, I'll bring you my stickers." No. I have so many that I haven't finished. I don't want anybody's stickers unless they're really cool.
Oh, that's funny. Oh man. Well,
have any other questions?
No, I think this is fun. Did you have anything else that you wanted to note?
I don't know what to say. I think I'm teaching yoga, doing yoga and meditation every day definitely helps me make a painting or whatever I make. It's part of the process. I think a lot of it is just the conversation of you and your piece as you go along. One thing Steve Kushner once said to me, we had a model, and he did this one class where he just had this model sit in the same posture every day.
Yeah.
So I was working on it, and he said, I think it's time for you to stop looking out there and just look at the painting.
Yeah.
Which was, duh.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, the whole thing is making the painting, not trying to exactly get what something is out there onto the paper. And that was a great revelation.
Huh. Yeah.
Just concentrate on what's in front of you and,
I think what I get from you is like, because you have the yoga practice and I'm sure you have a very busy life that you're doing lots of other things, but I just feel like you give yourself you carve out that time to get in touch with yourself, and then that spawns the art.
Absolutely. Well, I feel personally from my life experience and from the fact that most people are in some kind of pain, either mentally, physically, or some way, maybe not everybody can do yoga, but everybody could meditate. Yeah. Yoga helps you meditate because it gets your body so you can relax and be alert at the same time. But if you can't do that, at least practice something, because it really works. But, it's like people, I don't have time, so I'll just take a pill.
Yeah.
And it's, you can give yourself 11 minutes a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my soapbox thing, but, I also feel, this is maybe a little too spiritual, but I feel God runs the show. And so people who are supposed to do yoga are going to do it. And the people who aren't supposed to. And that's just, they're not their path for this lifetime or whatever. This is what I'm working on. That's a weaving. You can see the weaving underneath. It's kind of got the light coming through.
Yeah.
I'm starting to do these guys doing yoga on it.
Yeah.
I just thought it would be fun. This is a weaving. I don't know if I think it might just be fine as it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm going to paint. But that's another repurposing thing. It's all this. My very generous relative sent my husband a birthday present from Hermes.
Yeah.
So I have the ribbon that was around the box. I'm really excited to put that in.
Very posh.
Very posh, darling. So cool.
Well, I love how prolific you are, and I love just how much is going on. So,
I have to say, I just grab the time when I can. Yeah. I would love to have a day in the studio, but it's more like a couple hours every once in a while.
But that's good. I'm
grateful for anything I can get.
Yeah. Well, it's been really fun talking with you.
Silvana, I can't thank you enough for doing this. You're amazing, and I want to see your work. You make art too, right?
I do. I do pet portraits. I do animal portraits. So that's my thing. So yeah, I'll have to. I do have a website. Yeah, I can pass that along to you so you can see my work and stuff. So, but with my daughter, I've been focusing more on kind of working with her. So we kind of do stuff together. But I'm trying to find that time again to paint for myself, because it's just, I always say, like, when I make something, I write something, I do something creative, I stand a little bit taller. That's how I feel,
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So I feel good about myself when I create. So that's just, and I forget. And then you go, gosh, how did I forget this? This is like my kind of my source of life, and energy and everything. So, but anyway, I'm looking forward to coming to your studio sometime, and looking forward to, I'll send you off my info so you can see my website.
If you ever want to stop by.
Yeah. It'll be fun to paint together maybe or something.
Oh,
so,
I love that.
Yeah.
I have another great person I want to promote, Octavia Fraser.
Yes.
There's a group of us who started painting with Kathy Wilkin back in the 90s.
Yeah.
We're all friends still. And it's really nice. She's a great painter. She's abstract.
Oh, isn't that nice? Good. Well, it's hard to get off, but I will say goodbye for now.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think we'll
way too much of your time.
No, not at all. But I'm really looking forward to it. And thanks for working through all the IT stuff with me. So
we did it.
We did it.
Awesome.
You're awesome. Thank you so much. I will be talking to you soon.
You're the best. I wish you all the best, and I hope you get more time in your studio.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, maybe you and your daughter can collaborate.
Yes. You'll see from my website the collaborations. So
cool.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
Thank you. Satnam. Bye-bye.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's an honor to co-chair the studio tour this year with Sandy Buffy. And on behalf of the Great Falls Studios artist community, I'm sending out a big thank you to the tour's corporate sponsors: Emily Marentette Real Estate, Brightview Senior Living Great Falls, Moss Building and Design, RJS Construction, Surrounds Landscaping, Stacy Tucker's State Farm Insurance, Dianne Van Volkenburg at Long & Foster Real Estate, the Residences at Colvin Run, Blue Chicken Bakery, Broadway Gallery, and L'Auberge Chez François. Ooh la la. And a big thank you to all those who make it out to visit us.